Welcome to 1991 Movie Rewind, the podcast where we watch and review every movie released in 1991. From the all-time greatest classics to the critically panned and everything in between. We will rediscover forgotten fan favorites and uncover hidden gems as we explore the depths of direct-to-video. Join us in our celebration of the fun, unique, and diverse films of this highly underrated year. This week, we watched Sweet Poison.
This is Nikki.
And this is Jon, and thank you for joining us on 1991 Movie Rewind. Sweet Poison tells the story of the prisoner Bobby Sams, played by Steven Bauer, who escapes from a bus crash and abducts a husband and wife to help him escape. The couple's relationship is already on shaky ground, and Charlene, played by Patricia Healy, seems to be enjoying the crimes Bobby forces her to commit a little too much. Screenplay by Walter Klenhard, directed by Brian Grant, and released on June 12, 1991. Have you heard or seen of this movie before?
No.
I do nothing.
Yeah.
Even working at a video store, I knew nothing of this movie. I don't know how wide of a release it got. We watched a version that had a copyright of 1996 on it. I'm not sure if that's just a re-release or if that's the main time it was released on home video. I don't know.
Like, was it a TV movie or was it
It's possible.
straight to video?
It's possible. It's listed on IMDb as a TV movie. I saw one mention online of it being made for USA.
Yeah, it was on USA Up All Night May 22nd, 1992.
Mm-hmm. But someone else, there's very, very little information about this online.
Yeah.
Really tough to find anything on there. There is, I think, one other resource that claims that it was made for USA, sort of like The Perfect Bride was. But if that's the case, then this is definitely the unrated version. Well, I guess it's an R-rated version, but it's not what was seen on TV because there are titties in here.
Well, there's some new, like...
I don't remember if there's swear words, though. The violence is sort of tame.
I don't think
it's TV ready. I don't
yeah,
think there's anything that wouldn't be
it's
that
just
bad on
the
TV.
nudity, but they could totally edit that out.
Yeah, or shoot alternate takes or something to put on TV for a couple of those scenes.
Yeah. So
I don't know. It's tough for me to know because we don't have the TV guide for this time period. If we did, then we would be able to reference that. And I have a feeling that some people mistake it appearing on USA Up All Night to mean it was released
for
on the
that
USA
specific
Network.
Yeah,
like it was made for that. So tough to say, but there is a specific release date of June 12th, 1991, so maybe it did premiere on USA.
Just not for USA Up All Night.
Right, and then it just got put on USA Up All Night a year later. I think it showed twice overall.
Yeah, I think that's what they do.
Yeah, they kind of...
They, like...
space it out a couple...
Yeah, after a couple of years, they'll re-show a movie.
Like Virgin High, I think, showed like 3 or 4 times, and Vegas in Space, I think, showed 3 or 4 times, and this showed twice. But, I mean, USA Up All Night ran for years, so...
Yeah.
There's only so many movies, you might as well get the rights to show something multiple times and take advantage of that. I was surprised by this movie. I don't know. We should probably say that, like, if anybody watched or listened to the podcast from a couple weeks back, we said we were going to watch Deadly Desire. That didn't happen because the streaming services actually do not have that 1991 movie on that. All the info is for 1991 Deadly Desire, but it's actually a 1970s movie called Deadly Desires with Sally Field. So we use this as our swap movie. We found a cheaper VHS because Deadly Desire on VHS is like $30 and this was like $6. So we swapped out some stuff, and I think we probably upgraded even without seeing Deadly Desire. I think we probably got the better end of the bargain.
Yeah, this movie is like early Hallmark, I guess.
You mean in terms of like suspense?
Yeah,
thriller?
like I'm thinking of like My Stepson, My Lover.
I don't remember all of that, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay. But
I didn't find it to be super, super cheesy, though, the way the Hallmark movies are.
I mean, yeah, My Stepson, My Lover is you can laugh at that. This is not. There's some points where I was laughing.
Yeah, there's a couple.
Like, very few. This is very serious.
It's trying to be a serious movie.
I mean, it's not bad at all.
No, it's not.
I liked how it ended and everything.
There's some like unresolved subplots, but that's about it. I think some of the acting could be better, but it's a low budget movie, and I don't know how much direction they got in terms of the acting to really help their performances. The director of this is primarily a music video director, so doesn't have to deal with dialogue. He's dealing with lip syncing virtually all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's that aspect of it, but you have solid actors for the most part in these roles. So, I think, the script could have been a little bit tighter, but I mean, in general, I thought it was a better constructed plot than something like Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man.
Okay.
It wasn't as good action-wise.
Yeah. Yeah, the action in this is...
It's few and far between. I mean, they have a really good fight scene at the end in the house. They're really breaking stuff up and throwing people across the room and everything.
At the end
So that's good.
When the cop comes in and she shoots him through the sheets.
Yeah.
That was cool. Not cool, but I mean that was interesting to see.
Yeah.
It's just some of the other ones kind of made me laugh, or I was like, all right, why
like him rolling down the hill?
Yeah, him rolling down the hill. I was like, how does he not have like a concussion or like a broken anything?
Yeah.
Because he just
and by him we're talking about the husband.
Yeah, the husband. Well, he just lays there they think he's dead. Well, Bobby shoots at him, doesn't actually shoot him.
Yeah, he shoots him from at the top of the hill because he doesn't want to also fall.
Yeah.
And so he's shooting at him.
While
doesn't see Henry get up, and so he
down.
Just assumes, we're good.
He's like, okay, he's dead, but he just laid there for however long and then just automatically just gets up and walks away.
And plans his revenge from that moment
Right,
forward.
he plans his revenge right then and there. And I was like, how are you, like, coherent after that?
Plot.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like show some limping. I don't know.
Right.
I just
Yeah, they show like a cut on his head, and that's about it. He's a little dazed for a minute. This isn't an action movie. It is meant to be an erotic thriller. There's not a lot of eroticism in there.
No, not really.
But
there's like one scene.
There's like a tease of it, I guess. Like you start off the movie very early on with a sex scene. That's, I think, the first shot virtually is like
it's
her
just
straddling her
him.
husband.
Well, the very first shot is a woman walking like their toddler or something.
Oh yeah, it's outside of the neighborhood.
It's in the neighborhood, and then it like pans into the house, and it's them like having like the end of them having sex, and it's just like really weird.
Because
like,
you hear moanings, and then like you get to see what's happening, and like there's no motion at all.
It's just him like massaging her
Got it.
head while she's on top of him.
Yeah, it's like I got it. They're
and
done
she's
now.
moaning.
But yeah, with like silk stockings, like suspense, sexy music in the background.
Yeah. Like this is supposed to be sexy.
Yeah, you got like the backlit shot of
But
the
it's
sun-kissed
like
naked bodies or whatever in twilight hours. It's meant to be artistic, tasteful, sexual. It's difficult because you have Edward Herrmann as the man, in the scene.
Yeah. You don't want to see him do anything sexual, like, ever.
He's like, I don't know how old he was in this, maybe like 50s, 40s.
Really?
I don't know. I mean, he had been doing stuff since like the mid 70s, and we're talking 1991 now, 15 years later. Like, he was Emmy nominated in 1976 and 1977 for playing Franklin Delano Roosevelt in a couple of TV specials. So he had to be old enough to play FDR in the mid 70s, and now we're talking 15 years later after that.
Okay. I'm wondering how old he was in the Gilmore Girls then.
I'm not sure. I mean,
I know he's the grandfather.
Yeah, he was in Gilmore Girls for like 154 episodes. He's had a long storied career. Tony winner for Mrs. Warren's Profession. I don't remember when that was, unfortunately. I didn't write that down. And he has an Emmy win for a guest spot on The Practice. Also, Emmy nominated for St. Elsewhere a couple times. But you probably know his face if you're familiar with TV or movies, because he's just in a bunch of stuff. He's a well-known character actor, but he's not a sexy dude.
No. Even when he was like the love interest in The Lost Boys, I was like,
yeah,
this fucking guy? I don't know. I mean, I know it's like Diane Wiest,
but still, it's not who you
like,
immediately
you have a
think
crush
of.
on this dude?
It's not who you would think of to be cast in an erotic thriller, if you want to categorize it that way. Meanwhile, you have Patricia Healy, who's like 25 years old or something like that at this time. It's her film debut, and she's...
Okay, he was like 48 when this movie
Okay, so I was close.
So like late 40s.
I was within the right range. But yeah, you have Patricia Healy, who's like, half the age.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's part of the dynamic of their relationship, is that he thinks that she's only interested in him for the money, and it's true. So
yeah, even though she says that she's... Because, okay, well, Billy is...
Bobby.
Oh, Bobby.
Billy's the brother.
Billy's his brother, which we see for like 5 minutes.
A scene at the end.
Bobby is like an escaped convict, and he happens upon them because he's escaping, and then he wants to go. Well, initially he wants to go to Mexico, but he makes, like, when he finds them, he wants to go through like a checkpoint, like a security checkpoint. Like, he just kind of puts a gun to their head. Along with his, sidekick at that time with Jimmy. Because there was like 4 men in this bus. Like, they were going from a prison to another prison.
Yeah, it's some sort of prison transfer that involves just 4 prisoners. And then 2 or 3 guards.
Yeah.
On the bus itself. And boy, was that a weird sequence.
I mean, so you have one guy, Bobby, he's trying to escape, right? He's like trying to cut his...
No, it was one of the guys who dies.
Oh, one of the other...
It was like the curly-haired prisoner.
Okay.
And he was trying to use the wire from the backseat of this bus to break free his either
chains.
Break free his handcuffs or just to straight up stab Bobby, one or the other. But anyway, he gets the wire out, and then like Jimmy says, "Hey, look out, Bobby," or whatever, and then like the guards.
Well, meanwhile, the guards are like pouring coffee for each other.
Yeah, it's like, "Hey, can you give me some of this coffee?" While they're driving on
like a cliff,
a steep, curvy cliff, in their construction site.
Yeah.
And so they get distracted when the attack happens. The coffee spills on the driver's lap. He turns the bus and whatever. And
yeah, the bus falls on this cliff.
It rolls over a bunch of times, and...
Like, the driver is dead.
Most likely. We don't see for
sure. Yeah, we're assuming.
We see 1 cop escape. We see 3 of the 4 convicts get out of the bus. Bobby, Jimmy, and then a 3rd one. This black one, and that's the one that the cop kills in cold blood. shoots his leg first, and then the guy's
Like,
I'm sorry, I can't run anymore.
Escape, yeah.
I give up, whatever. And then he gives a little smile and just shoots him. And that's the main cop that we follow throughout the story from there on, Coyle.
Yeah, so I mean, of course.
But Jimmy and Bobby get away after like a little bit of a struggle or whatever, and I think they have a little bit of a fight with Coyle and take his gun as part of their escape.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, are those handcuffs they're very mobile in those handcuffs. They have
they're
a very long leash.
They're those long ones.
But also super thin, too.
Yeah.
They look like bracelets or necklaces.
Yeah, if you're super strong, you can probably just break your hands apart like this. Or you can get something easily and put your arms around like a metal rod or something and try to like pull.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too hard to snap.
Yeah.
In the movie, they use a hacksaw, which is not necessary.
Yeah.
But whatever.
But yeah, they commandeer. Well, you have Charlene and Henry. They're on their way to Henry's father's funeral. And they stop at some diner, and that's where Bobby and Jimmy are, and that's where they commandeer their vehicle, basically. And
then, it's a very short scene with Jimmy and Bobby sort of giving them directions, and Jimmy's like the loose cannon type. He's, the unpredictable one, and then Bobby is more of like the leader, calmer guy who's trying to tell Jimmy to settle down and don't be so aggressive and all this kind of stuff. And so there's a little bit of infighting or whatever.
Yeah, so in the diner, when Charlene goes to the bathroom, this is like a weird scene. When she gets up, she walks past, and like every man just stops and turns and looks at her.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay.
And then show also how she's like,
she's so sexy.
Yeah, a pure sex symbol.
But when she's in, is that the bathroom that had it had weird neon lights?
Yes.
Like around the perimeters of, like the doorways of the stalls.
Yeah, like on the support beams of the stalls.
Which I've never seen
lights
before.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a very
80s
hazardous thing.
Yeah. Yeah, what if you touch it?
Yeah, what if it breaks somehow?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a Cadillac.
I've never seen that before.
It's a 50s Cadillac Jack's diner. And so I think they're trying to play off of that with the neon. But yeah, very dangerous setup with the bathroom there. Anyway, they're arguing about how she wants to get a different house. And he's saying, well, we don't have any money because my dad's inheritance is all gone. The IRS is taking it all. There's tons of tax debt that I didn't know about. And so all we have is what I make for my current job now.
Which is whatever he does, like...
He's a pharmaceutical rep.
Yeah, farm rep. Well, those guys make a lot of... Well, they make good money.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the empire of his dad's retail businesses.
Yeah, we didn't even know what his father
focus is.
did until the very end of the movie.
Basically. We knew he was in some sort of a business and had like different locations.
Yeah.
Because when they're driving to the diner, Charlene's like, hey, isn't that one of your dad's stores? And Henry's like, yeah, maybe. I don't know, like Henry's tone towards Charlene at all times is extremely condescending to me. And Charlene, I thought, was playing up the naive angle.
Yeah.
But no.
Well, because Bobby and Jimmy are... Well, Bobby mostly is like, do you really love him, or are you just in it for the money? And that's when she was like, well, his father doesn't have anything, so yeah, I love him.
Mm-hmm. I think she's still riding out until she can find a better option.
Yeah.
But, we don't get to see her have those thoughts because immediately after they have that money conversation, they're abducted by the two convicts. But yeah, it definitely seems like, okay, yeah, this is what we're going to do. And it also helps to say that they don't have any money because that will hopefully be believed by Bobby and Jimmy, and they'll be able to, get away with minimal damage financially and physically. But anyway, Jimmy he's on a rampage. He wants Charlene really badly, and they decide to kill Henry, and so they pull over to this weird side of the. There's a lot of isolated like construction site locations and hills and
wherever.
deserts.
It's like in the deserts
it's
of
in like
California.
I think they're saying like San Bernardino and something like that, somewhere around those.
But
I don't know.
Aren't they going down to San Diego?
They were talking about it, so that's one of the things. Like Bobby,
but then they
said something on the phone, but he actually had other plans instead because he.
But
knew
initially,
that his mom
for
was
this
going to be...
funeral.
I don't know. I don't remember anymore.
Because then they end up.
That's one of the weird, like, unresolved subplots. Is like if he's supposed to be on his way to the funeral. I mean, you would think that there might be people who are trying to contact them in some way, or
it's his own
what if we
father's
have a scene
funeral.
Of, like a brother or sister or any
family,
relative,
any family member.
Just contact the cops and say, hey, he was supposed to be here, but he's not. Look out for this guy, and then that could help with the manhunt angle that that they go for a little bit and then just completely abandon.
Or he could have called. Well, this is after he fell down that hill. I know he's like out for revenge right then and there. He could have called someone.
Well, he also could have told the cops that were right there about the guy.
Well, yeah.
He chose not to in favor of revenge.
Yeah.
So, instead, he does something that doesn't make sense plot-wise. He uses the phone book in the payphone in Carson City, because they're going to go down to San Diego where his mom is. I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, they're going to San Diego for... And then
okay. I thought the mom was also in San Diego, but maybe they're both in Carson City? The brother and the mom are both in Carson City?
Yeah.
Okay,
and
so
then,
never mind. It's not a plot hole.
And
calls the mom and gets the brother's address for the end scene.
Yeah, he initially... When Bobby calls his mom, which I thought was a weird call. Because, I mean, so Bobby was in prison for like 3 years? 3-ish years?
Sure.
I mean, that's what I thought Coyle said at some point.
It's possible.
And so he calls his mom, and the conversation is so nonchalant. He's like, yeah, the bus flipped, and now I'm going to Mexico. Just tell my brother I love him, because he's my brother.
Right.
Tell my brother I love him, because he's my brother.
Yeah.
And then that was... But wouldn't the mom be like, aren't you supposed to be in jail?
Well, that's the thing. Bobby knows that that's how his mom was. So
just
he called his mom to sort of throw everyone off the tracks because he knew that the mom was going to report him to the cops right away because that's what she does. We don't see it, but we hear it from Coyle later that, or the warden, I don't remember which one. But one of them basically says, yeah, we got the call from the mother to say he's heading towards San Diego. Let's get our guys that way.
Yeah, because he lied to her. He was like, yeah, I'm going out to San Diego and then Mexico. But in reality, he's going back to Carson City to his mom.
To get revenge on his brother who set him up or put him away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a decoy call.
Mm-hmm.
It's meant
But it's just like a really nonchalant conversation.
Yeah, he is always very calm, cool, and collected. And he gives off this impression that he's one step ahead of everything. I wish it went a little bit farther with that in terms of the plot. But, I mean, there's a lot of times where the suspense in this movie is mostly just because Bobby isn't talking. Like there's that scene where he's about to take the shower and he ties Charlene up and says, take off your blouse. And he ties her up. And you just sort of sit there watching the whole thing take place.
Yeah, he's not saying anything.
And Charlene's like, well, can you tell me what you're doing? Can you tell me what you're doing? And then after he's done, he's like, well, I'm going to go take a shower, and I want to make sure you're still here when I get back. Because he sent Henry off to do some other thing to buy tools.
To buy tools and clothes for him.
But, so that's supposed to be like a sexual... suspenseful scene is like, oh, is he going to take advantage of her? Are they going to, is she going to get naked or whatever? But those are the thoughts
like, no, I don't.
Meant to think.
But he uses her shirt to tie her hands, and I was like, she could have.
That's easy.
She could have just gotten out of that easily.
Yeah.
Unless he did some weird, like, fucked up knots where you can't do anything to get out of.
Yeah, they don't
but
show
she
the
could have
knot,
like
but it looked like it was
untied that, called the cops, and escaped. There was so many times where she could have, not so many times, there was a few times where they could have gotten help.
Oh yeah, I mean, even in that situation where Henry is asked to go to the store to pick up tools like the hacksaw, you could easily ask for a phone or tell anybody along the way what was happening and where they were. Easily. There's another scene where he's asked to go do chores. There's a scene where she's asked to go buy stuff.
Yeah.
And in one case, she is surrounded by a couple cops who are escorting her out of the store, which gives Bobby a pause or whatever, but she didn't say anything. And I understand, like, the concept of, fear of
he even asked
hurting
her.
somebody, whatever.
Yeah, he even asked her, he's like, why didn't you tell those cops about me? And she's like, well, I want to protect my husband.
Yeah, but I think at that point she was starting to get caught up in
the
sweet
by that
poison
point, yeah,
of
by
the thrill,
yes.
right?
By that point,
because they did the gas station.
Yeah, they did the gas station thing, and he made Charlene help him.
Yeah.
Steal money.
By using a rag with gas to blow up the gas tank of another car that's just sort of sitting there, unoccupied. And then while that blows up and everyone runs out to see what happens, he steals the money from the register.
Yeah, and she gets like a high out of that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, after that, she's sort of attracted to him now, or she's attracted to what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, she wants to...
There's the money and the danger.
Yeah, she wants to be a part of this now. And...
But
like,
I mean,
the best scene is when... So, they give Henry sleeping pills to knock him out because, Henry's, like, now threatening Bobby.
This is after another
that,
theft that they committed.
Yeah, another theft that happened. Where he's like, you guys take half and I'll take this half. And he's like, no, I don't want any of this money. And Charlene's like, well, we earned it. And he was like, no, I'm not taking any of this money. But she's like, but it's mine.
Yeah.
But they have like a little fight in front of Bobby. It was just awkward.
Like, yeah, you promised me a new house, basically.
And she's like, you promised me. And then he's like, don't do this now in front of this guy. But, so Bobby gives Henry sleeping pills to, like, knock. He's like, I'll give you 3. He's like, usually 4 knocks you out, but I'll give you 3 or something.
He's like, yeah, you can take 3 because I've taken 4 before and I've been okay.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's probably less than 3 is the normal dose. But, yeah, Henry's a pharmaceutical rep, so these are samples he had in the trunk. That's where they got the pills.
And while Charlene is taking a shower and Henry is supposedly knocked out, there's a scene where he spits out the pills. So he's not out. He's pretending to be out. And then Bobby, when Charlene comes out of the shower, Bobby's there just watching her. And that's when... This is the only eroticism that happens. It's not even an erotic
maybe
scene.
The scene in the river was a little erotic because you have him shirtless on the car and like they're in the water in their underwear and whatnot.
I just thought that was weird. Like, so and then they have poor Henry doing everything with his car. Like, their car needs...
The car breaks down, but we don't see the moment that it happens. We just cut to the fact that
you just see Henry working on it, and then there's like a nice spring nearby, and that's when Charlene's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna she's in her underwear, and she's like, I'm gonna go in this river spring thing surrounded by all this seaweed.
Yeah.
And take a dip, and Bobby's just like standing and staring at her like pervily.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she comes out, it's like, wouldn't Henry be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, that's what they confronted that's what he confronted her about. It's like, hey, don't do that in front of him.
But while I know he was too busy working on the car.
He was asked to walk 6 miles to the gas station. Which, again,
this fucking
doesn't
guy
get help while he's
I know.
away at the gas station.
I think he's just, like, afraid to. Because he doesn't want Charlene to get hurt.
Yeah, and like while...
in his mind, maybe.
And the other part, like when Bobby is beating up that guy in the bathroom to steal the $100,000 or whatever it is, like, Henry could have ran away. He easily could have just run away while they were beating each other up, and then they could have both like left. No, but the wife was already in the car on the side of the building, so he could have just gotten
her
away
and ran off.
He's like, hey, he's fighting. He's distracted by this fight. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, but she's already at that point where she's like, no, probably want to stay with Bobby.
Yeah, he doesn't know that, but yeah.
Yeah, so there's that one erotic scene with them in the river, which that was weird. And then we have this where she comes out of the shower and Bobby's like, take off your towel, basically.
Yeah.
And then she does, and that's when they start. This is hilarious. I don't know. This is the most like hilarious scene. Where they just start making out and they're moaning. She's like, oh Bobby. And then they pan over and you see Henry with this like horrified look on his face. Like,
like silent crying in the corner.
He's like silently like
doing each other on the bed.
Yeah, but wouldn't you want to like just be like, what the fuck? Like, why couldn't you just stop it?
He doesn't want them to know that he's
not knocked out.
Yeah.
But he could have... he could have taken the gun. I know there was a point where he did take the gun.
Mm-hmm. And she could have taken the gun while he was dipping in the river. While
she was looking at the gun.
But decided not to because...
There were so many times...
You know, that's again, like she was already sort of on his side.
Yeah, there was like... many times where they could have either killed Bobby or like ran away or gotten help.
Mm-hmm.
But that scene was like, I don't know, hilarious. She's just like, oh Bobby. And then they just move to the bed and they're like having sex like 2 feet away from poor Henry. Yeah. Even if you are knocked out, couldn't you just hear that?
I don't know. I've never taken sleeping pills to that degree or whatever, or at all, honestly. But yeah.
I'm just like, that's traumatized. Like, this is like, he's traumatized. And I don't know. It's just like the next few days for Henry are just traumatizing for him. Well, even, I mean, his father died.
Yeah, we're just kind of like an
his dead. I know.
Like,
and then he's got his wife like turning on him, and then sleeping with someone else like 2 feet away from him. And it's like he doesn't even like the next morning. He doesn't even like say anything.
No,
like, so what'd you guys do last night while I passed out?
Yeah, I don't think
so.
But
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But that's when, they were going to kill him.
I think they didn't do anything like that because it was shortly after they did each other, Bobby and Charlene did each other, that Coyle comes in and she shoots him. Because she's naked in the bed with the sheet over her and the gun underneath the sheet and kills Coyle.
The next morning...
So they don't really have a chance to say, hey, what'd you do last night? Like, there's a gunfight. And like, okay, we gotta get out of here right now.
Okay, yeah. The next morning, they're naked in the bed and Henry's still sleeping?
No, it's that same night.
I thought it was like early morning.
Like, while they're having sex, there's like intercut scenes of Coyle like coming up to the motel.
Oh, okay.
Because there's this whole subplot... Well, okay. Coyle is like the guy who shot the black prisoner in cold blood, and now he wants to try to find these people. There's a warden who's in the picture, played by Ferris Bueller's dad, Lyman Ward.
Yeah, he doesn't even have a name. He's just Warden.
He's just Warden. He's in several other 1991 movies. We'll talk about him again later. But he also was in one episode of WIOU. Lyman Ward was. But anyway, you know him as Ferris Bueller's dad.
This gave me Oz vibes.
Which part?
Just when they confronted that other prisoner, the roommate of Bobby.
Well, the other prisoner
JJ,
kind of looks like
someone from Oz, like a prisoner in Oz.
Yeah, the brother.
Because they have a white power. That was like the whole.
You look like the brother of Ryan O'Reilly.
Oh, or the cousin.
I don't know, the one who played mentally handicapped.
I think they were cousins, but
I thought they were brothers.
I think they're brothers in real life, but they played cousins in the show.
Well, whichever. This one was
or
played
vice versa. I don't know. It's been a while.
This one was played by a guy named Eric Bruscotter, who was in 6 Feet Under and one episode of Sports Night and Starship Troopers, Major League 2 and 3. He's a big dude, big blonde dude. He kind of looks like the guy, the weird dude in Necessary Roughness in the bar fight as well. Because he has like the
he's
big
just
chiseled
like a big
jaw,
he's
blonde
just
hair.
like a big giant. He looked like a football player or something.
But anyway, Coyle goes to see JJ, who was the roommate of Bobby in prison, and says, "Hey, where did this guy go? If you give me information, I'll let you. I'll put in a good word for your parole or whatever." And JJ gives him bad info, and so Mr. White Power has to go now to the non-white cell block of the prison for giving bad info. And that's like the end of that scene.
And that just reminded me of Oz.
Yeah. But there's this whole subplot of like the warden and other cops who are trying to find them and set up like a manhunt and roadblocks and all this other kind of stuff. And that just kind of goes nowhere. And Coyle just takes it upon himself to do his own investigative work because he's basically saying, oh, well, I got hit hard in that bus crash, so I'm going to, take some personal days. And then he just goes off and does his own lone wolf investigation and he tracks him down.
Yeah.
And so, like, as they're doing each other, Coyle is, basically right outside the door. And so, virtually right after they're done...
she takes
Bobby
his
is like
gun.
Near Henry. Yeah. Charlene is like, "Can I have your gun?" And she wants to use it as like part of like the sexual play.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Okay," because he trusts her.
Yeah, he's like, that's what he said. He's like, "I trust you," and she's like, "Do you really trust me?" And she's like, pointing the gun like at his neck and his chest and his head, like, saying seductive things to him, and he's getting turned on.
And then Coyle busts through the
while
door.
Henry is supposedly passed out in a corner.
And Coyle busts through...
And they're having sexy talk.
Yeah. And so Coyle busts through the door with a shotgun, points it at Bobby, point blank range, and says multiple times, like, "You're dead, you're dead, you're dead, I got you, you're dead," stuff like that. But he says it for so long and doesn't shoot, but Charlene does through the sheets.
Yeah.
Doesn't know that Coyle's a cop. Thinks that it's one of the
like another
the drug runners that they stole money from at that other restaurant.
Yeah.
And so now they're...
And then Bobby's like, "What the fuck did you do? That's a cop."
Oh no, Bobby's cool with it. Because that helps him get away.
Well, but then he was like, "You killed a cop."
Like, yeah, but he's not like saying, "Oh no, you killed a cop." He's like, "Yeah, you did it. Good job."
Well, because he shows... Yeah, I mean, he wasn't like...
He wasn't upset about it.
Yeah, he wasn't upset about it, but he was like, "Look, you killed a cop," and he shows her his badge, and that's like...
Yeah, Henry's like, "What did you do?
Out.
Why did you do that?"
And that's when Henry's like...
And Charlene's like, "Well, I thought it was one of those guys coming back for the money," and like, Bobby's like, "He wouldn't have known anything about the money. Look, he's a cop."
Yeah.
So.
But then that's when they take Henry, Bobby and Charlene take Henry to the woods.
Yeah.
Because Henry's just like, "Why don't you just shoot me here?" Like, he knows that they want to kill him.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah.
And they get into a fight near that...
They're both standing on this hill, and there's a really good opportunity for Henry to just push Bobby down the hill and get away.
But he's the one
and he doesn't for a long time until Bobby's able to anticipate it coming, and then they start to have a fight, and then Bobby wins, and Henry's rolling down the hill and knocked unconscious from the whole affair.
Yeah.
Again, knocked on, By the way, if you're wondering where Jimmy is in this whole situation, we kind of started that story. They were going to take Henry to this open field, desert location to kill Henry. But Bobby instead kills Jimmy, shoots him in the head. I thought for sure that Jimmy was going to come back at some point and play a role in the plot. But they show him,
What do you mean? He's dead.
Well, I didn't know that because they just show him being shot in the dark and falling over. They didn't show a headshot. You only saw the headshot when the cops find him later on when they're doing their own manhunt. So I thought maybe he survived the gunshot and would come and get revenge as well and sort of,
I thought that he died right away.
Yeah. I don't know. I assumed he was going to come back. And also just because it's I guess now a bigger named actor.
I mean, out of all these, and besides Edward Herman, John Hawkes is probably the most famous,
the most successful.
Well known now.
Yeah. So John Hawkes played Jimmy, and very, very small role. So that's why Jimmy's not along for this ride, is that he gets killed very early on as well by Bobby. Which I think, it makes sense to set up the fear of the couple, right? It's like, okay, you have this guy they don't know what he did in prison. I think the newscast later tells them that he was arrested for attempted murder and he murdered somebody in prison as well. Mm-hmm. And now obviously they saw him kill Jimmy, so they know he's dangerous and doesn't care. So that adds to the fear aspect. But yeah, anyway, Henry's pushed down the hill later on, and then Bobby and Charlene just get in the car and go away. Henry is woken up by the symbolism of a crow pecking at his wedding ring.
This is so, I don't know, some of these things are so cheesy.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't beat you over the head with it, I guess, but I mean, it could have been, it could have been worse, but yeah, it was, of all the things. I mean, there's a good plot progression here. There's different scenes. It's not...
At this point where he's like, okay, I'm fucking out for revenge. So when he gets up from that fall, unscathed.
Virtually unscathed, yes.
And, he just finds the nearest payphone, calls the mom to find out where they live. Bobby's mom. Mm-hmm. To find out where the family lives in Carson City, and because they know, he knows that's where Bobby and Charlene are gonna go next.
Yeah, he pretends to know Billy, who is Bobby's brother, because that's where they plan to set up an ambush. Bobby and Charlene plan to ambush Billy and kill him.
And
as part
they
of their
have
revenge.
Bobby and Charlene had this plan, and this was a really fucked up thing.
Yeah.
So Charlene, Bobby tells Charlene to, go seduce her brother.
Yeah, and bring him back home.
But that goes south, and she gets, sexually assaulted.
In the back room of the bar.
But she
keeps on saying, hey, let's go back to your place, and Billy's like, no, I just gotta have you now.
Yeah, but I'm assuming that he had sex with her.
Yeah.
And
they don't fully show, but yes.
They don't show her, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and then
I was like, this is horrible, because, you must really want this fucking money, or I don't even know,
it's the sweet poison.
Whatever
the title's supposed to mean, that's the closest
that whole
you get.
Scene, that's fucked up to me.
They treat, this life of crime as, a drug. It's like a reefer madness type of a thing.
Yeah, she was just
once
let's go to your place, let's go to your place. Yeah, I know. But she's just like, let's go to your place, let's go to your place. And he's like, no, I gotta have you now because I'm gonna go to work after this or something.
Well, yeah, after
they
do each
have
other,
sex.
Then he's, she's still trying to get him to go back to your place for like another round or something like that. It's like, hey, well, let's go back and let's spend the night together. And he's like, you can go if, like, you're gonna be spending a long night because I got a night shift job right now that I gotta get to, and I'm already late for, so thanks a lot. Here's 30 other guys who could take you home if you want something.
That was just like messed up.
Yeah.
And then she leaves alone. I don't know. I was like scared.
Well, she came
for her.
alone.
I know she came alone. I'm scared. And then she left alone, like violated, to go to this fucking house. And then she's like, your fucking brother. And then during all that, that's when she sees Henry.
Yeah. And
there's like a whole fight between Bobby and Henry.
Yeah. Which is a good fight.
I mean,
both of the major fight sequences, the one that's in the bathroom and this one in the house, there's some really hard smashes of stuff. And I'm sure it's
so Billy's gonna come home and be like, what the fuck?
Yeah. All this stuff. But he'll also, he's
gonna see his dead brother.
See his dead brother because Henry eventually stabs him in the stomach.
And the way Bobby dies, it's like, he makes this like smirk and he's like, oh, you got me. And he just like slumps over.
Yeah. And then Henry starts burning the money. Which is weird. Like, okay, I understand the concept
just fucking
of...
go!
Oh, we don't need it. But yeah, one, first, just get the fuck out of the crime scene area. Get the cops. But two, give the money... Like, you gotta return the money to the cops. Like, it's like, hey, this was part of a crime that this guy committed. I'm doing the right thing here as well to, reduce whatever sentence I might be subject to for my part in this, if there's anything. You know what I mean? Like, you can... whatever. But the whole point of that is to basically tell Charlene, hey, look, I was lying about my dad's tax problems. I do have money. I just was testing you, and you failed miserably. And then the next scene is them getting a divorce as part of, like, the will reading.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good scene. I mean, and then her reaction to it, she's like, what? And then... that's the end.
That's
the
end.
Like, Henry gets all of this fortune from his father's stores that I don't even know what stores they are.
I don't know. He has a bunch of retail stores, like 20-something locations.
From the West Coast region or something.
Yeah.
And he's now in charge.
So, happy ending? I don't know.
I mean, for him?
I guess. Like, none of...
And she gets
nothing.
And,
like, the cops don't come back. Like, we don't see the warden or anyone else involved in the whole situation.
Well,
There's no, like, resolution to say, hey, thank you for your help, or sorry this happened to you. None of those types of scenes.
Well, he's like, if you sign these divorce papers, I won't tell the cops about you.
Right.
So, why would they tell the cops, though?
But why wouldn't they say, hey, we were kidnapped by these people and all this?
Because maybe Charlene
there has
would
to be
have
some evidence that they were there or part of it. I mean,
yeah, I know, because
the
if he stabbed Bobby,
had records of the car, and that's how Coyle found them.
Yeah, I understand that.
And they would have had records of that same car being in the motel where Coyle was dead. So, there's a lot of stuff that points to them.
Yeah, we don't see anything about, like, Billy finding Bobby's dead body or, people finding Coyle's dead body.
Or the cops, doing anything.
Well, I think maybe Bobby's dead and they're like, whatever.
It's just a couple scenes to have, again, Ferris Bueller's dad and then also Noble Willingham come back as the sheriff, which we already saw in Career Opportunities, as basically performing the same role, trying to find a missing person by driving around town.
Yeah.
It's the same type of a thing here. There's just a couple scenes with no resolution. But that's kind of a minor thing. I mean, for a low budget movie, for something like this that basically was direct to video, maybe it was made for TV. Either way, I mean, it's
not bad.
It's not bad. It's much better than I expected it to be, and it progressed well. Like, I was never bored at any given time.
Oh, yeah.
If we're talking like sexual thrillers, it would be nice to have a little more sexuality
in
this whole thing.
Yeah, I would watch this movie over Kiss Before Dying.
Oh, sure. It'd be nice to have a smarter female character in this. I thought she was just like playing the role of a naive person, and she was gonna like turn on somebody at any given time, or like, you know.
Well, I thought that
outwit
like
Bobby by like
she was
playing
just
dumb.
gonna go off with Bobby, and they were gonna live in Mexico together, like being like a Bonnie and Clyde type thing.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. What was going to happen?
But I mean, yeah, she was just never a smart person, which was a little disappointing. But I mean, I liked the character of Bobby. He seemed to be somewhat of the smartest of the three.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you're adding Coyle, I think Coyle is probably slightly smarter because he was able to track them down and kind of play this dual, you know, like he's a cop, you know, crooked cop and whatever. Yeah, whatever. And not terrible acting, but yeah, just not moment to moment, scene to scene, there's problems. But good actors with not the best acting overall, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think we covered pretty much everything, right?
Yeah.
So let's quickly talk about some of the cast and crew. We got Brian Grant as the director. Like I said, he's primarily a music video director, worked with some major names such as Queen, Stevie Nicks, Elvis Costello, Duran Duran, Van Halen. Does virtually, if not all of Olivia Newton-John's music videos. Had Cable Ace nominations for a variety program for Olivia in Concert, and also directing a musical special, Olivia Down Under. He was Grammy nominated for a music video short form, which I didn't know was a thing. So for the music video for Tina Turner's Private Dancer, he was Grammy nominated for that video. And he's also going to direct another 1991 movie called Love Kills. We'll see how different that is. Walter Klenhard is going to write the 1991 movies Lies of the Twins and Dead in the Water. Along with this, he does a lot of these types of TV movie, you know, things. Right now, he does a lot of work for the Hallmark Channel, so that kind of leads to your interpretation. He does stuff called Picture Perfect Mysteries and Garage Sale Mysteries, which I think starred Lori Loughlin.
Okay.
So, Steven Bauer is Bobby, Golden Globe nominated actor for Scarface, and also Drug Wars: The Camarena Story. A Saturn nomination for his guest spot work in Breaking Bad. He plays Don Eladio in that, and also in Better Call Saul. He's Avi and Ray Donovan for 60 episodes. He's been in things like Traffic, Gleaming the Cube, Body Count, Primal Fear, Pit Fighter, a lot of, you know, schlocky direct-to-video stuff, but also some good stuff, theatrical releases in between. And he'll be in a couple more 1991 movies, A Climate for Killing and also False Arrest. Edward Herman, we already talked about his credentials. Patricia Healy, this was her first role. She's done a lot of minor roles since then, so in such movies as Heat, Bodyguard, Theodore Rex. She was in Bless This House, which is a TV sitcom starring Andrew Dice Clay in 1995. And she's also been in a couple other movies like Ultraviolet and China Moon. Pruitt Taylor Vince played Cole. I think he's probably my favorite actor in this production. He's an Emmy winner for his guest spot in Murder 1, where he probably played the murderer, if I had to guess. He plays a lot of bad guys.
A dick. Yeah.
Yeah, he almost always plays the dick. I think in Heroes Reborn he played something of a good guy, maybe. I don't know, it's kind of ambiguous. He's going to be in the 1991 movies Dead in the Water and JFK, but he's known for things like Mississippi Burning, Wild at Heart, Jacob's Ladder, City Slickers 2, Deadwood, and for like a 2-episode stint where he played Otis in The Walking Dead, one of those first couple seasons there. John Hawkes is, again, probably the most successful person in this cast list. Oscar nominated for Winter's Bone, Spirit win for Winter's Bone and The Sessions, Golden Globe nomination for The Sessions, and he was also Spirit nominated for Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene. He's also been in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, Eastbound and Down, Deadwood, Wristcutter's Love Story. Me and You and Everyone We Know, I think, was the first time I learned about him. And that was like in 2004, but he's been around forever. And he'll also be in a couple of additional 1991 movies, The Rape of Dr. Willis, and also Scary Movie. So that's our cast. We did watch the VHS, but there was no previews, unfortunately.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's always disappointing. Maybe the Deadly Desire is $30 because it has previews. No awards to speak of. can't say I'm surprised, but like we said, it was on USA Up All Night a couple times. So we can move on to true crime and pop culture.
Okay, so this movie was released on June 12th, 1991, which was a Wednesday, and this was 2 days before Kickboxer 2 was released.
Okay.
So I'm skipping music, but I'm gonna talk about something music related.
All right.
But on this day, sports wise, it was the NBA Finals.
Okay.
Chicago Bulls beat the LA Lakers 108-101 in Game 5 for the first 3 straight titles. So
that's what I would have been watching.
This is the first of
the first
3-peat.
Yeah. The first of 6 and the first of the first 3.
Yes. And the MVP was Michael Jordan in his first NBA Finals appearance. That was on NBC.
The neighborhood went crazy when that happened.
There was 19.7 million people watching. On ABC, there was the International Rock Awards that was on from 9:30 to 11 p.m. And I had to look this up because I've never even heard of this award. And the International Rock Awards was a United States music awards ceremony meant to honor the top musicians in rock music, obviously.
So it's basically like a pre-Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing?
Yeah.
Or is it like current year?
The awards, yeah, they were on ABC for only 3 years. So 1991 was the last year. It was 1989 to 1991. And it was an attempt to build up to the Grammy Awards. Okay. But it failed to attract sufficient viewers to remain successful. So, but when I was looking, there's like one website that I found. I couldn't find any of the winners, but on this website, it's called concerts.fandom.com. The awards were held in London, and it was hosted by Leslie Nielsen.
Huh.
Some of the presenters were Rick Astley, Bo Diddley, Duran Duran, Bob Geldof, Jasmine Guy, Chrissy Hine, Benny King, the Moody Blues. You had Jonette Napolitano. She's the lead singer of Concrete Blonde. And then there was Lisa Stansfield and Princess Stephanie of Monaco. Huh. And then you have Steve Vai. These were the presenters. Performers include the Doobie Brothers, Faith No More, the Scorpions, Roxette, Sting, and ZZ Top.
At least there's some variety there.
Yeah. And some of the nominees, I didn't see any. I couldn't find the winner except for the end. Pete Townsend was the winner of the, quote, Living Legend Award. Some of the nominees for Album of the Year include The Black Crowes, Phil Collins, In Excess, Jane's Addiction, Living Color, and Neil Young and Crazy Horse. And then ZZ Top received a Video Legend Award. So that didn't do well. So that was the end of that. And then going on to our commercial.
900 commercial, which
is... So I found another 1-900 number commercial that I will play, and this is just for the month of our USA Up All Night theme,
because like 2 or 3 of them per break.
Yes, so if you were watching this movie, you may have seen this 900 number commercial. This one is called The Singles Connection.
Hi, come closer. closer. I've been waiting to hear from you. Why not call the Singles Connection right now and get in touch with America's hottest singles?
The Singles Connection. For adults over 18.
Let's get personal right away. Call the Singles Connection now. You never know where it might lead. Go ahead. I'm waiting.
So that one actually says in a corner it's 1991. So that was a 91 commercial. And then they didn't say how much it was, but there was a little thing on it that says $3 per minute.
And several of them have like minute minimums. I don't know if all of them do, but we've come across a couple.
Yeah,
in our research.
in like very tiny writing.
Yeah. So, yeah. You never know where it might lead. Nowhere. It's going to lead nowhere. It's going to lead to a large phone bill.
I mean, and there's one that I really want to play, but it's like not sexy at all. It's just 1-900 cry or whatever.
Well, we don't know for sure if it's 1991.
No, I don't think it is. I just saw that and I was like, that's something I would call.
But yeah, go on YouTube and look up the 1-900 cry number. Like that.
That one's great.
Yeah, there's so many, unusual and super specific 1-900 numbers from.
Oh yeah, I mean like the Psychic
years.
Network was huge.
Yeah.
Like in Winona Ryder's character in Reality Bites. Do you remember?
Barely.
Like she gets like really. This is where she's like can't get a job, so she becomes like super depressed, and she's just like in their apartment, and she's calling the Psychic Network and just on the phone for hours and hours, racking up like their phone bills, and then like her roommate gets like pissed off at her.
Okay.
And she's like on the phone crying to a Psychic Network.
So we'll move on to rankings and ratings, I guess. On your 1 to 5 star scale, where are you going to put Sweet Poison?
I'm gonna give this a 2.
Yeah, on my 0 to 4 star scale, I'm actually going to go a little bit higher than you. I'm going to say it's a 2.5 stars. Because, I wasn't bored. I thought it was,
Yeah, it's
decent. It moved along pretty well.
Yeah, it's okay.
The plot made sense. Like, we talked about all the different times that they could have gone and found somebody, but, just explain that away by saying they're too afraid to make those moves, and everything that happens in this, I get it. So,
not the type of, I want like a good erotic thriller for once in my life.
I think The Deadly Desires would have been more erotic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I know
we didn't trade up in that respect, but in overall film quality, we probably got a better movie here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe
it's just like the cover of this looks like, you see her like seducing the guy, and it makes you think that it's an erotic thriller.
Yeah. They're trying to lean into her sexuality a lot, but they didn't take advantage of that in the movie as much as I think both of us would have liked, I guess. I don't know. If you every movie is worth watching once, would you watch this again?
Yeah, if they ever did another USA Up All Night and this one that was on,
yeah,
sure.
That's true.
I don't know how else I would watch the movie, because I wouldn't pop in the VHS ever again.
Probably not. No. But I didn't hate it.
It's just like I want to see something else.
These movies are a dime a dozen, and so I'd rather see the other 11.
Yeah.
Out of the dozen.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's not bad, and yeah, if it was on some sort of like a late night TV thing or an MST3K type of a scenario or something like that, then sure, yeah. But that's probably not going to happen. If you out there want to watch Sweet Poison as of this recording in September 2022, it's available only on VHS, but it's pretty cheap. But as always, check your local listings, as that could change. You can listen to us on all of your major podcasting platforms. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, and tell your friends. You can email us at 1991movierewind@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and YouTube. Just search 1991 Movie Rewind, or go to 1991movierewind.com for the full list of movies along with show notes and more. Next week, we're closing out our USA Up All Night extravaganza. We've done the quirky, we've done the funny, we've done, the sex comedy, the erotic thriller. It's time to do horror. We're doing 976 Evil 2. That's available on Hoopla, digital rental, VHS, or DVD. We will see you then.
Thanks.